Alright, our next section in pre-calc is dealing with quadratic functions, and the thing I'm going to focus on here is, you can read the goal here. We want to change an equation or a function that's in this form, the ax squared plus bx plus c. We want to change it from this form to what I like to call vertex form. A times the quantity x minus h squared plus k, because there you can see what the vertex is going to be. And I think this form's a little bit easier to graph than if you have something in this form. You can graph something that's in this form, but I just want to go over this and go how to change from here to here. I'm going to start with this example. And the first thing you want to do is really just focus on these x terms. Okay? If there's a leading coefficient there, you want to factor that out of the first two terms here, these x terms. So the first thing I want to do when I'm changing from ax squared plus bx plus c to vertex form here, or standard form, is I want to factor out whatever the leading coefficient is just from the x terms. I'm not worried about the last term. So here I go. So I have f of x. Factor out that 2. When I do that, I just have x squared minus 6x plus 23. Okay. Then I'm starting already to look like this, but I'm not quite there. What's in the parentheses is squared, so what I'm going to do here, just with what's inside the parentheses now, is I'm going to complete the square. Okay, so to complete the square, I look at this term right here. I want to split that in half and square it. So if I split that in half, I get 3. And if I square that, that's 9. So I'm going to add 9 here. Okay? So I have f of x equals 2 times x squared minus 6x. Now here's where it changes. I'm going to complete the square, so I'm going to add 9. Now if I add 9, I should subtract over here to balance things out, because if I just add 9 and don't do anything else, it changes the problem. It's no longer the same as what we started with. Okay, so if I add 9 here, really what I'm doing, since I have the 2 out here, is I'm adding 18. Okay, so since I'm adding 18, I should subtract 18 here on the end. Okay, to balance things out so it still stays consistent with what we started with. Okay, now what I'm going to do is factor this. This is a perfect square trinomial right here. Okay, so this factors to be, let me write it out, this is a perfect square, so that factors to be x minus 3 squared. And then I can combine these to just become plus 5. And then if you look, I have it in vertex form. Okay, and from here you can see that the vertex is going to be 3, 5. That's where your parabola is going to start. You got a factor of 2 here, so that's going to make your parabola a little bit more skinny. It is going to be opening up because it's positive. So it just makes it a lot easier when you look at this to be able to factor, or I'm sorry, to be able to graph the expression than if you had it in the form we started in. It's doable. You've learned how to do that. You learned how to do that in Algebra 2. But if you change it into vertex form, I think it's even easier to graph. Okay? I'd like you guys to try one of these on your own. Let me give you an example here to try on your own. See if you can do it on your own. Let's do f of x equals 3x squared. So this is your example to do on your own. Do the exact same steps that I did. You got f of x equals 3x squared minus 6x plus 10. Okay? So let me go through the steps with you one more time. You work on that one on your own. Just focus on those first 2 x terms. Whatever the leading coefficient is, you got to factor that out of just the first 2 terms. Okay, so that's what I did here. Then you have to complete the square with what's inside the parentheses. So to complete the square, take half of the second term, square it, and add that. If you add that, you're going to have to subtract something on the end to make sure things stay consistent and stay the same and balance out. And be aware of what your coefficient is in front, because if you add something in here, you're going to have to multiply it by whatever the coefficient is to figure out what you're going to subtract on the end. Then factor what's inside there. That's what the x minus 3 squared is. And then combine your like terms on the end. That's how I got the plus 5. You do the same exact thing for this example here. Try that one on your own. Check with me in class. See if you got it right. That's all I got. Thanks.